Check, check, check. I just made a funny joke. Something about a cerebellum. Liam? I don't know. Anyways, you guys are Hall of Famers. Cell phone extraordinaire. Punch in that calculator to find those two numbers. Divide 42 by 2, 3, 4, 5. So there. This one, you got two numbers that multiply to 21 and add to negative 10, or negative 3 and negative 7. And it doesn't matter which way you put them in the bracket. Just don't put the wrong sign in front of them, because it does matter. Because 7 is different than negative 7, just like 7 is different than 11. So 11. Possible Slurpee weather, 11 degrees today. Be happy. I'm such a faker, eh? When I podcast, I feel like I'm happy all the time. All right, that's. I'm just going to quickly show podcast of what we just corrected, which is straight 343, I hope. Otherwise, I'm wasting time. Oh well. Go non-insert, non-insert, enter. Nope, not 343. Sorry, I'll take another minute to make sure they see 346. Wow, that's pretty. After 346. Okay, so here are the other homework questions on the top of that page. My podcast friends. And you can pause it because we've already gone over it. There we go. Podcast people, let me check your homework. Yeah, I can see you. It's true. Yeah, hey, now you're nervous, aren't you? Okay, sit up straight, please. Do we need to correct anything here? Yes, I want to go to page 345 and go to the bottom of page 31, please. Bottom of page 31, where we're doing GCF. Some products. Harry Potter? Why didn't we do that one? Dang it. And there's number 4, A, B, E, F. And for this one, these are all GCF. Write it down, GCF, some product. So not one-stepper, two-stepper. Thrilling, action. Two numbers are multiplied to 12 and add to 7 are 3 and 4. Two numbers are multiplied, not to 32. You can't do this. You can't do multiply to negative 32 and add to negative 28. Especially if you were here yesterday, or even yesterday, or weren't here yesterday. Remember, all the ones that we do some product for start with x squared. If they don't start with x squared, you can't do the last number is a product and the middle number is a sum. You have to divide by the GCF if you can. Otherwise, it's a decomp question, which is coming up probably tomorrow. Here you take a 4 out, and then you do two numbers that multiply to negative 8 and add to negative 7, or this and this. Don't forget to bring the 4 down, or it doesn't make sense. You can't write that equal sign unless you bring that 4 down. Okay? If you weren't here yesterday, you guys can listen to the podcast or just flip to this page if I didn't give you enough time to correct these. Here, take a 2x out, and then what happens? Two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add to this number is a 1. If it's just x, it's 1x. If it's subtract x, it's negative 1x. So those are two-steppers. Expect them. Like I said, most of the time, over 50% of the time, you will be able to do something with the bracket after taking a GCF out. Not every time. If you can't take something out, then you're done. Because if you take a 2 out, and you don't have two numbers that multiply to 7 and add to 1, that's okay. You still created brackets. You still factored. That's a fine answer. And next year we'll do quadratic formula to solve that one. What's quadratic formula, Mitch? X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared, correct? b squared subtract 4ac all divided by 2ab. That's correct. 2ac. Jeez, I should know. 4ac, 2b is the denominator. When you don't have some product or decomp, that doesn't work, but we haven't done decomp. So I'll be quiet. I was just bragging a little about myself. Sometimes that's good to do. I usually do that in the mirror for 30 minutes each morning. And lunchtime. And when I get home before bed. I'm so happy. Okay. Next. Done. Next is quiz next. You've got that many minutes to study for your quiz, and I'll give it to you very quickly. Podcast pause. Okay, go ahead and follow those top ones real quick. We started already, so we're about to do it, but podcastically we can pause. Okay, so let's finish these off. As I stated already, it's simplify, and we flaw these because they're exactly the same binomials with different signs, which always ends up being subtraction in the middle. And same thing with here, 3x times 3x equals 9x squared. 5 times negative 5 equals negative 25. Now I'm going to give you these, and you've got to get that. I did that with my left hand, by the way, podcast people. Very impressive. Left hand. Can you see how you can get the brackets from the answer? Yeah, I pretty much don't even need to teach you this. So let's do one of them, and then you do 3, and I'll do one of them, and you do 3. But from here, can you all get that? And that's the hard one. So let's talk about it. By the way, you can see this if I put it in this form, and we did a numerical response question, and this was what you had for an answer. What would b equal? What would be the number in front of x? Well, there is no x term, so b would equal 0. Okay, so you can see you could write it as 0x if you wanted to. 0x is the same thing. If for some reason I put what does ABC equal, well, b would equal 0, and the whole thing would equal 0. You'll probably see that a little later. All right, let's go ahead, and we see the identity there. And factor means what? Everyone? Create brackets. So that's what we do. Yeah. And for this one, anybody want to mention to me what we do? How do we get the brackets from that? How do we go from the reverse now? How do we go from x squared plus 36 to the answer? Who can help me with good math words? I can help me with good math words. Okay, so what times itself equals x squared? So you're taking the square root of x squared. X times x. What's the square root of 36? 6 and 6. One addition, one subtraction. Good second flaw, they have to have different signs, right? It doesn't matter which sign you put first. Everyone good? Go ahead and do the next two. And when I say the next two, I mean the next 3. Don't forget muchacho and nacho cheese over here. Good. So quick, so friendly, so beautiful, so much fun. Square root, we can tell them what the answer is. And remember, everyone say x plus 6 times x subtract 6. Everyone say that? X plus 6 times x subtract 6. Okay, don't say bracket. So who would give me the answer for that guy? Zach? All set. Okay, perfect. Sometimes 1 is tricky because it's so easy. Don't forget the square root of 1 is just 1. Okay, 1 number times itself equals 1, 1. So you never leave it as square root of 1. And you don't put it as blank. It's not 0. 0 times 0 is not 1. And then who's got this answer? Who likes apples? Joe, thank you. Well said. Good. Perfect. Okay, and now the harder of one, I guess, because it doesn't have numbers, is muchacho nacho cheese. You want to go fill that up? Just 1 sec, okay? Who's got muchacho nacho cheese? No, that's not M. That's muchacho. Good. Awesome, yay. That's a fun girl right there. Great job. Way to be fun. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's the whole page. That took 5 seconds. Next page. Next page. There we go. Go ahead and do example 1 for me. Your turn. Unfortunately, no M's or N's. Too sad. I like to ask people pause until you're ready. Never mind. It takes not long at all, so we'll just track in about 3 minutes. Yeah, you heard me. Takes about 3 minutes to do those 4 questions. Any questions at all? Put equal signs, please. And 1 addition, 1 subtraction. And you are on your way. Yeah. Good. Just because he teased you again when he walked by you, we'll play a little joke on him. Let's see. One of my favorites. Ah! It's funny. Oh. Why is that going round and round? Odd. Makes me nervous. This one. I'll try to go. Say it properly.
I got A minus 2 times A plus 2.
Said, perfect. B, no one got that one, that's impossible. I guess you have calculators. Katie? Nice. Love that fun number. I know numbers, a little harder. Anyone can get it. Thank you, Andrew. Good. And this is the hardest one. Anybody know, Natalie? Good. Now, if you want to, you can just make this 7 squared into 49, and then you'll get these 7s easier. Just don't put radical 7. Don't put the square root of 7. Okay, so let's write this down. I forgot to tell you about the exam, so everyone write this down right now, because you need to have this exact statement memorized. So write down the radical form of each factor, and I'm only going to write it down once, and you got 10 seconds, well 30 seconds to write it down. Each factor shows up as the inverse of the FOILed product times the starfish equals W squared hippopotamus. You got that down, Jack? Really? It just disappeared?
Yeah.
Oh, look, look.
Well, that counts.
It was a team effort. All right, there is our joke of the day. Can't sue me if I give you candy, right?
I don't see you, don't worry.
All right, everyone heard that? Not suing you. Okay, I don't know what I said there, but hopefully the podcast people heard it. Sorry, podcast people, that was just a joke. As we took Jack's pen. Okay, this one. I'll do one of these for you. Same thing, square root, square root. If you know 4t times 4t equals 16t squared, then just write it. If not, just do it separately. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of t squared? T. What's the square root of 49? 7. 1 addition, 1 subtraction. Do the rest, please. These are a little harder than the previous ones, but not much. Scale. This is a tasteless sugar-free candy. Works for me. Okay, do example 3 as well. And then if you're waiting for us, work on homework. Podcast people, pause, pause, pause. Okay. Let's rock and roll. Now I have my smoke. Went outside to get some water. Don't ever smoke, you guys. Don't ever start. Ever, ever, ever. how you start with drugs. That's how you start with higher drugs. Don't ever make that decision. If you have, stop it immediately. Think about your kids and your grandkids. And do it for them. Okay, square root. Anybody have this answer? Someone tell me in proper English. There should be 15 hands up right now. Thank you, Smiley. Yep. All said. C. Thank you. Perfect. There's a 10 there. D. Hardest one ever. Second hardest one of them all. Thank you, Jack.
Is E minus 5Q
Aye.
times 6P plus 5Q.
All said. Ding, ding, ding. If you flawless, you can check it. Do you get that and that? Yes, you do. E. Must be this one, right? 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5? Yeah, I know. Because if you do that, you're going to get 20x in the middle. You don't have a 20x in the middle. Can't be opposite signs because you don't have subtract 25. That would be nice. So what's the answer? Okay. Good try. Not quite. Read the question. Yep. Then you would still have negative 20x. Good try. Yep. It's not possible. Will I ever ask you a question like this? No, I will not. But this one, so my question will be this. Go ahead and add this to your wonderful questions. I'll ask you to factor that. You cannot put 5x plus 10 times 5x plus 10, or you get 0. But there is something you can do. What's always the first step to factoring? 3 letters. G, C, F. So you can take some out there, but bigger than a 5. So go ahead, take out bigger than a 5, and then you have created brackets. As long as you create brackets, you factor. So I won't ask you something like E, but I will ask you star, and you better star star. I've never done it in my life. Look at a star planet. What? Is that even possible? Your new superhero, Starman. Star one. Alright, take a 25 out. And now you might be tempted, is this x subtract 2 times x plus 2? No? Why? What do you know about all of these questions that we've done? Every single one of them. It's subtraction. Remember, when you flaw, you end up with a subtraction binomial. Subtraction sign in between two terms. You have to have subtraction or you cannot do difference of squares. Write that down. You must, sorry about the mess, you guys, have subtraction sign. Otherwise, you can't do difference of squares. So my abbreviation for difference of squares is D/S, which probably you can tell by page we're on. We still have that one hard one to do. Let's get rid of the mess. Okay, for F, that is a subtraction sign, so the 8, square root of 64 is 8. What's the square root of all that mess? 3ab times 3ab equals 9. A squared b squared. That means factor. You need to find a number times another. Well, area equals length times width. So it says find length and width. That means find two brackets. So you have to factor 25a squared subtract b squared. And probably nobody got that. Except for everybody. What's the answer? Thank you, Brittany. Well said, professional math student. Okay, so you love these questions. Again, they're out of 2. Whereas the grouping, the slice and dice questions are out of 2. They're more work. VComp is going to be 3 times more work than this. They're out of 2 as well. Get all these right, please. Anytime you see 2 terms, you're thinking difference of squares, as long as there's a subtraction sign in the middle. Okay, oops. And we'll have a factoring review, but make sure you know that if you go back 2 pages, guys, you can only do this when you have 2 terms. See 2 terms, it's either GCF or difference of squares or both. What a segue. Both? What did you just say? I said both. So homework is everything on page 34. Should not take you long. And as soon as we do 35, everything on 35 and 36. So 34, 35, 36. But a little ahead of us because we haven't even talked about this one yet. Okay, so let's do GCF, sum product. I guess I'm one ahead of myself here. Where is it? It's on the very bottom, page 34, and it starts with example 4. So this will be on the bottom of this page, sorry. So we're doing GCF, or difference of squares. Come on, buddy. On the bottom of this page? There you go. So always take a GCF out first and then expect something in the brackets, just like we did today with GCF sum product. So let's go to the next page. There we go. Example 4, please star these, because you can't do anything. You'll get 0 unless you take a 2 out of here. If you take a 2 out of here, it all falls into place. Check, 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 check. You just do a whole bunch of that square rooty thing, which is fun. But if you don't take a 2 out of here, you're done. You'll get 0 out of 2 and lose 6% of your test. Take a 2 out, and you get divide everything by 2. A squared subtract 25. So that's the GCF part. And then go ahead and do the difference of squares part for me, please. So now, square root, one addition, one subtraction sign. And you get a subtract 5 times a plus 5. Run out of time here. Let's do 2 more for you. This one, star C, because if you do this, you're going to lose half your marks. So don't do that. Don't square root. Just because you can doesn't mean you do. Because if you do this, multiple choice will be wrong. If you do this on written response, you'll get 1 out of 2. It's right, but you didn't take a GCF out. You didn't take a 4 out. Here, you can take a 2 out of these two brackets, and you can take a 2 out of these two brackets. But most students don't do that. So you have to get in the habit of taking a GCF right off the bat, even if you see a 144, which is 12 times 12. So this is a tricky one. I'll give you that. First thing you do is you take a 4 out. Because you can. How do you know that? Well, you just... Okay, oops. So divide by 4, 36. P squared, Q squared. Subtract 4 divided by 4, which is 1. And now you take the square root, 1 addition, 1 subtraction. Okay, that one is harder than it looks. Now you'll still get 1 out of 2 if you just square root right away. It's a written response. But if it's a numerical response, it'll say how many factors are there. You're going to put 2. The answer is 1, 2, 3 factors. Or if it's a factor fully question, and then you put 12pq subtract 2 times 12pq plus 2, you're going to get that wrong with multiple choice. Good study star question. This one I'm going to move up on. You take a 3x out, or you're in big trouble. If you take a 3x out, you are in Disneyland. Go ahead and finish that off. But always, again, we've written this down. This is our 4th time, I think now. First step is GCF. If you get stuck on a test, think about GCF. So, stuck on test. There's your study note. Take a GCF out, and it'll probably save you some marks. Okay, go ahead and do these ones. B, A, and a second B. And take a GCF out. Remember, this is tempting just to square root right away, but don't square root this right away. Take a GCF out if you can. Thanks for your hard work. We've got another 3 minutes. To 36 is homework. Just 2 questions on 36. About the same amount of homework as yesterday. Keep working. You're done. Okay, your first one is this one. Now, it feels like you're done. Remember, always expect to do something here. Square root x, square root 4, so you get x subtract 2 times x plus 2. Oops, I forgot to do c first. Okay, so go ahead and do b and b, I should say. b. Take a GCF out, it's all fine and dandy. If you don't take a GCF out, you're going to get no candy. You get 0. Not even a chocolate 0, just a 0. Egg shell, no egg. Now we better get going and let you clean your desk. Take a 4 out, you got a squared, subtract 25y squared. And then you square root, 1 addition, 1 subtraction. God bless some awesome day. Homework is pages 34, 35, and 36. Square root, 1 addition, 1 subtraction. And these ones, GCF, square root, 1 addition, 1 subtraction. God bless some awesome day. Ha ha ha.